everyone, to the 2026 kickoff of Tune Up Tuesdays. I am so very excited. This is our 5th year of doing this series. My name is Kelly Robert, and I'm the Journey Program Manager here at Union Bank. Journey's an incredible program. It's education, enrichment, and entertainment for our customers and their friends who are over 50. And we say our customers and their friends because we don't like to leave anyone out. We reach our Journey program participants a variety of ways during the year. We have events, we do in-person education, we offer a couple of trips, we have lots of written materials and resources. Something else we do are 2 virtual series, and they're immensely popular. And Tune Up Tuesday is kind of the series that started it all. Although I suspect now that I'm saying that I said the same thing about Smarter in September. So anyway, one or the other was the series that started it all. And we're kicking off the year with, as we do Tune Up Tuesday, and we talk about things that you just want to do better in the year ahead. We tried to come up with topics that people probably had front of mind right now. I think we have just stellar presenters. I am privileged to get to work with today's presenter. Her name is Molly Christenson, and she is the Financial Literacy Coordinator for Omaha. So she's part of our marketing team, and she's going to present today on tuning up your meal planning skills. So today's segment is called Tune Up Your Meal Planning Skills, Tips to Save Time and Stretch Your Budget. I'm going to tell you just a little bit about Molly. She's just, I can't wait for you to meet her. She really is so much fun. She serves, as I said, as the Financial Literacy Program Coordinator in Omaha. She brings more than 5 years' experience in community education and financial empowerment to this role. She's dedicated to helping individuals and families build confidence in their financial decisions through accessible, people-centered learning. Because a lot of the segment that Molly works with, and Molly, correct me if I'm wrong, are lower income, community-based individuals. She works with a lot of nonprofits and puts together a lot of workshops. In all her endeavors, she strives to make financial education, fun. With a blend of practical insight and genuine empathy, Molly aims to make financial literacy both approachable and meaningful. Outside of work, Molly enjoys exploring coffee shops. You can find her when she's in Lincoln. You can often find her down the street at the mill or farther away, typing away on her computer. She crafts everything from crocheted animals to home decor, and she's always planning her next travel adventure. Molly, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much. I will start sharing my screen, and I'm going to start with our agenda for today so you kind of have an idea of what we'll be looking at. Kelly, can you just give me like a thumbs up on if you can see my screen okay?
Looks good.
Thank you. So yeah, we're going to start with an activity, and for this you can put your answer in the chat if you'd like, or you can just answer to yourself, whatever you prefer. They're yes, no questions, and then we're going to talk about afterwards, why we ask these questions and go more in depth. After we go through the activity, we're going to talk about preparing to grocery shop and the things that go into that. Grocery shopping tips and some options, navigating the grocery store, understanding price tags, and then we're also going to talk about a recipe that's low cost and healthy that can be beneficial for you that you can try out, and we'll send you that at the end of the presentation so you can make that at home if you'd like. So our first question is, when you go grocery shopping, do you bring a list? So if you want, you can comment in the chat. Yeah, I got a yes. Always. Great. And the reason we ask this is that bringing a shopping list helps you limit your impulse buying and takes guessing out of the question. So you can plan meals ahead, which we'll talk about more in a little bit. And the list will let you know what ingredients you need that you don't already have for those items that you're going to make, so you don't buy anything extra that's unnecessary, which can lead to food waste. Because you know you have more than necessary. So the next question is, do you look for coupons before shopping? Yes, sometimes. Okay, great. Perfect. Yep. Have looked for coupons in the past, but now more focus on the sales. That's great. We'll talk about that in a minute too. And with coupons, it's great to look for coupons. One thing I recommend is making sure that you're getting the coupons for stuff that you're already wanting to buy rather than getting coupons for a bunch of things that you may or may not use. If you want to look for coupons and then make a meal around that on what you can find good deals on, that's totally understandable. We just don't want to go out and buy a bunch of something that's going to go to waste just because it's on a sale. Okay, the next question is, do you try to limit trips to the store? So with this, it's one grocery shopping trip per week is what the goal is. You got a yes, that's great. Unfortunately not, no problem. So the reason why we recommend this is if you're able to just go to the grocery store once a week, you're going to cut down on the amount of gas and mileage you use. So it's going to help with your car, not having to get it into a mechanic as often, that kind of thing. And then it also saves you time in the long run. And then talking about sales, do you look at store ads before shopping? Got yes, and not usually. Got some people typing too. And while we type, I'll let you know that it's beneficial to look through store ads ahead of time so you can see what stores have the best price. It might help you decide which stores you want to go to on your shopping trips so that you're getting the best deals. You can also use things in the store ad to decide what you want to have for your meal planning that week. And then, do you eat before shopping? Not always, yes. We recommend that you eat before you go shopping because that's going to help with decreasing impulse buying, buying something that just looks yummy because you're hungry. And shopping hungry can increase the number of snack items you buy. And a lot of times, if we're shopping hungry, we don't make the most healthy decision on what we might want to eat. Jody says, I try to, or else I spend too much. Exactly. Okay, and then the next question is, do you look to see what you have before you go to the store or before you write your list, potentially? Yes, usually. Yes. Okay, great. So checking what you have in your cupboard, fridge, and freezer at home ensures that you don't buy excess food that you already have. So this can save you money on your shopping trip. And it also decreases food waste because if you don't check to see what you already have and you buy it again, you might end up using that new item that you bought and waste the old one. So making sure you use up what you already have before getting new is going to cut down on food waste and therefore less money waste. Okay, and then this is the last question of the activity. Do you wash and cut your own vegetables and fruits? And on the screen is an example of if you go and buy a whole watermelon, which is estimated to be like 240 ounces, that costs about $6. But if you get pre-cut watermelon, this example here is 32 ounces, and that's over $8 just for the 32 ounces, which is a lot less for the price. Normally, yes, yes, always, usually. Okay, great. Yep, so like I said, buying whole fruits and vegetables costs less than purchasing the pre-cut ready to eat. Um, we recommend that you buy produce in season and then wash and cut it right away so that you can have it grab and go. You don't have to do, be cleaning a bunch of fruits and vegetables every day. And then also freeze some of them for later so that you can have them, you just take them out of the freezer and have them and they will last a lot longer. And then when they're not in season, you have some that were frozen when they were in season. So you don't have to worry about, because it usually costs more if it's out of season and it might not be as good. And then another thing to note is frozen fruits and vegetables are also a really good option, and those often can be picked up at the store as pre-cut without it having that extra price tag for getting it pre-cut, like if you were in the produce aisle. So, um, yeah, so then you can avoid some of that cost, but also have it ready to go for you. And the nice thing about the frozen fruits and vegetables is it's actually picked at peak season and frozen right away. So it still keeps a lot of the nutrients and everything without that extra price tag. Okay. That's all I have for the activity. So thank you everyone for joining us. So you can kind of reflect to yourself on how you did. Are there things that you would like to do differently? You might want to start doing that we talked about or that kind of thing. So we're going to jump in next to preparing to shop. And so we're talking about here planning meals ahead of time. So before you go grocery shopping, make out your meals and then use that to make your list for the week. Um, you'll want to consider all meals, including snacks and beverages. And we have a handout that's printable that we're going to give you at the end or after this webinar that you can use. You can either use it on the computer or you can get it printed out. And then myplate.gov is also another good resource that has meal planning options. And then Nebraska Extension UNL Food is another website you can go to get more on that. And then this is what the inside of that handout looks like. So as you can see, we have breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks. There's not a specific spot for beverages, but I would say for each thing you can make note of what your beverage will be. Recommend for sure including water on at least a few of those things for your beverages. But anything else, if you're going to have juice, coffee, that kind of thing. Include that so you can make sure you have what you need for the week. And then, of course, it has Sunday through Saturday on here. When you're meal planning, it's important to think about your schedule for the week. So you could have activities or events, maybe your grandkids' sports that you're going to. Think about how much time and energy you might have for making the meals. For me, after I'm done with work, I know myself and I know I'm not likely to go home and chop up a bunch of fruits and vegetables and make this really good healthy meal. So instead, it's really good to batch cook meals when you have the time and energy. So you can buy ingredients in bulk for less unit cost, which we'll talk about unit cost in a little bit here. Um, you can freeze your meals, like make meals ahead and freeze them so that they're ready to eat later. And then you can make them heat and eat. So, or crock pot meals are another good one. You can get like bags that you can make your crock pot meals in. So you put everything in there and freeze it. And then when you're ready, you can just throw it in the crock pot in the morning and have it go all day. And then it'll be ready for you for dinner. So it's another great opportunity that you can use. And then build meals around ingredients. So we talked about potentially buying in bulk. So, if you want to eat more chicken for the protein, or maybe you want to eat more broccoli, buying that at a good price for getting more and then using it in multiple meals throughout the week is beneficial. And you can really use chicken in different meals and have it be completely different just by having different sides or different seasonings, that kind of thing, so that you're not getting bored, but you're still utilizing that buying in bulk. And then, like we said, check what you have in your cupboard, fridge, and freezers to cut down on any unnecessary spending. Less food waste, use what you already paid for before buying more. And then you can also build your meals around what you already have. So like what I was talking about with using what you have first. Um, if I realize I have a bunch of rice at home, maybe I want to make a couple meals that have rice in them this week. So I get the other ingredients that I don't have for that meal, but utilize the ones I already do. And then make a list of what you need. This example here, hopefully you can see it on your screen. Kind of depends on how big your screen is on how easily you can read it. But this is just one I found online that you can check off different things that a lot of people need to get when they go grocery shopping. But you can write your own on a scratch piece of paper, whatever works best for you. Maybe you like to enter it in your phone. Different people have different preferences, and all of them are totally fine. Just making a list is going to be beneficial for you. But again, the list will help you keep track of what you're needing at the store, hopefully decrease some of that impulse buying because you're not just looking around and saying, I don't know what I need, but this sounds good. Again, you avoid buying the things you already have, and then you don't overbuy. So yes, you might be buying like chicken in bulk, but you want to make sure you get the right amount based on your plan. So you're not just buying a bunch that might go to waste. And then coupons and store ads. You can use store apps to look at the store ads as well and what deals are going on. You can look up what loyalty programs there are for the stores that you like to go to. I definitely recommend the free loyalty program so you're not spending just to be able to get deals. But potentially if there's like a bulk store like Sam's or Costco, that's the other one, that you know that you're going to go to regularly and you want to pay for like the annual one, as long as you know you're getting your money's worth in savings over that time, that's great too. Whatever works best for you. But you can get printed ads or you can do the digital ads. Like I said, it can be through the store app or their website. You can look at the ads for savings. For printed ads, you can get them mailed to you, but you might have to go to the grocery store to pick them up. So that could add on to the gas money. So just something to think about. So digital ads can be good for that, but if you prefer the paper, then getting those printed ads is beneficial. Um, Again, utilize the free options. Coupon wisely so you're not buying stuff that you're not going to use or don't need. Um, you can get coupons through store apps, newspapers, or online. And then also compare what brands there are, including generic. You can like just swap out one thing with a generic item to see how you like it. A lot of times they're really similar, and you can check the ingredients to see how similar they are. Um, Depending on what it is, maybe you prefer the price of the brand name. So I have I don't know if I've ever tried it, but I had a friend mention to me that they, with Oreos, for example, they just cannot do the generic brand. It just tastes way too different, which is totally understandable. People have different preferences, but just trying the generic and seeing how it is, that could save you quite a bit if you end up liking it just as well. Okay, I'm going to pause for a moment. Kelly, are there any questions in the chat that I can answer?
Molly, I don't believe that we have any questions just yet. I think you're doing such a thorough job that everybody is doing okay so far.
Okay, thank you. Well, if there are
Sure.
any questions, please feel free to type them in the chat, and I'll check in again to see, you know, if any have come up, because Kelly's keeping an eye on that for me. So, the next thing to talk about is grocery shopping tips and options. So again, we're talking about limiting grocery trips to once a week if you can to save gas, mileage, and time. It could also be beneficial if you know you're going to be driving somewhere to take a trip, like on that trip, stop at the grocery store that you want to go to so that you're not making a whole extra trip. But also just following your list is a great way of decreasing grocery trips because if I don't make a list and I forget, maybe I need onions and I just ran out of onions and I don't have any to make for this recipe. So now I have to go out to the store just to get that one item. And now I'm probably going to buy more stuff because I'm at the store and I might as well because I'm hungry, that kind of thing. It can all add up. And then also I'm spending more on gas mileage and time to be going to the store when I already went to the store this week. And then again, talking about eating before you shop so you're not shopping hungry. My Plate also has a good resource on this. So it's called Planning for Healthy Eating and Savings, Time Saving Edition. So I found that to be a good resource as well. And then online grocery pickup or delivery could be a really good option for a lot of people. A benefit for both of those is that as you're adding things to your cart, you can see the full cost before you purchase. So it can be hard, like as you're going around the store, to try to mentally add up everything that you're getting and then also account for, is there going to be tax on this and how much is it going to be? But if you're shopping through a grocery app or a pickup or delivery, you can see everything you're planning to get. And then if the total is more than what you want to be spending on groceries for the week or for that time period, you can remove stuff and it's less chaotic or hectic than when you get to the register at a grocery store and then have to say, oh, I don't want this. I want to send it back or I want to go put it back. That takes a lot more. And it can be, if you're running low on cash for that week, that could be embarrassing to be like, oh, I don't want to get this anymore because I can't afford it or, it doesn't fit my budget for this week. So just doing it through the online can be really helpful. And then also you're less likely to impulse buy because you have everything in front of you, you're seeing the price, and you're not walking through the store and seeing things that look good in the aisles and just pulling things from the shelf. Um, Notes for delivery. This can be beneficial to save you time. And then also if you have physical reasons why the physical demand of going out and getting groceries and carrying them in, this can be a great alternative. So for me, I prefer to buy my water. I like to get my Propel flavored water, and I just buy it online and have it delivered automatically every couple weeks or so. And that way I don't have to lug it, to my door. I just grab it from my door and bring it in. So someone else is doing meeting the physical demands for that for me. So yeah, again, great for heavy items. And then if transportation might be an issue for you, the delivery option is great because then you don't have to worry about that. You just walk to your door and have it. Um, and then notes for if you decide to do grocery pickup. You may want to, if you're like me, you may want to go inside to pick up your own produce and meat. I'm really picky about how my fruit and vegetables look, as well as meat, that I want to make sure it looks the way I want, dates out far enough, that kind of thing. So it might sound counterproductive that you're like doing the pickup and going in as well, but it does help you cut down on just buying extra things that you don't really need because you did have that cart that you can double check what you're spending. And you get all those staple items like canned, frozen, or bottled food ready to go with pickup. And then you just go inside, just go to part of the store to get that meat and produce. Okay, and then navigating the store. So this is kind of like a general setup for a lot of different grocery stores. It might be like flip-flopped on maybe fruits and vegetables is on the other side or that kind of thing. But in general, this is pretty well how most grocery stores are set up. And we actually got this image from Always in Motion Nutrition. They recommend that at least 60% of groceries should come from the perimeter of the grocery store. So those fresh foods or the frozen aisle to get those, freshly frozen items is what's recommended. And then getting the other up to 40% of non-perishables in the middle. So primarily shopping and buying on that perimeter encourages healthy eating, and it also may help with impulse buying. Another tip is to eat the rainbow. So try to incorporate at least one different color from the rainbow in each meal. So, maybe today I'm going to do red, so I'm going to make sure I have tomatoes, different things that are going to really freshen up the meal, and then also helps you get a variety of different foods and healthy foods as well to be eating different colors throughout the week. And then again, we talked about frozen vegetables being beneficial and typically are just as nutritious, but can be a low-cost alternative. One thing to note is do check the ingredients just to make sure that there aren't a bunch of added like sauces can end up adding a lot of sugar and that kind of thing. So just see what's in them. But in general, they can be really good. And then produce options. Again, you can wash and cut your own vegetables, fruits and vegetables to save cost versus pre-cut. Only buy what you know you're going to eat before it expires, or freeze what you don't think you'll be able to eat. And then again, if you buy frozen fruits and vegetables, that can help with avoiding the waste and cutting down on the cost. And then an additional time saver tip, I found this really helpful for me. On the weekends, I like to make scrambled eggs for my mom and myself. And I found that while I'm making those eggs and standing there at the oven at the stove for a period of time, I just boil a pot of water while I'm doing that. and boil some eggs at the same time so that I can have hard-boiled eggs for the week ahead. And then I try to also peel the eggs before I put them away so they're easy to grab and go. I don't always do that, but that's been a time-saving tip where I'm utilizing my time cooking so it's less at a different time so I can, spend that time doing something I enjoy more because for me, cooking isn't something I really enjoy that much, but I can spend that time with my family and that kind of thing. And then I do want to open it up actually, if anyone wants to share in the chat, are there any tips or ideas you have about what you like to prepare in bulk or anything similar to this that you might want to share? And then while we're letting folks type, Kelly, were there any questions that have come up since we last checked?
Yes, Molly. Um, we have some. Oh, Jody is asking if you usually have to pay for delivery from the grocery store. And I know that varies per store. I'll let you
Mhm.
address that one.
Yeah, that really just depends on the store. I have seen grocery stores in the past offer like your first delivery free. So that is something to consider when you're deciding whether you want to do store pickup or delivery. I recommend with store pickup, look to see for options that are free. I believe there are quite a few stores that do have free pickup. Um, but you'll want to weigh the cost of delivery. And that's where, again, if you have transportation concerns or physical concerns, that can be really beneficial that maybe you do want to spend the money for the delivery to not have to worry about those issues.
Great, thank you, Denise. I hope that answered your question. For some people, an annual subscription, I think, from a certain store is worth it, and they feel like those deliveries pay for themselves.
Yep. Denise said, I will buy meat in bulk when on sale, for example, 10 pork chops, then freeze in small packages, like 2 per package. Also buying ham and cutting it into smaller chunks for meals to use later. Yeah, yeah, I think that's a great tip. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I like to, for me, I try to spend a day just cooking up a lot of things so that I have, if maybe it's chicken. I've talked a lot about chicken today, but maybe I buy in bulk some chicken and then I try to cook it all up right away and then have it portioned out how I would want it and then freeze it. Okay, I
Oh,
was
Molly,
told, yeah,
excuse me.
yeah.
Well, I think I was just butting in to read the same thing you were
No, you
reading.
can
You
go
go.
ahead.
I was told 8 years ago that it costs $5 every time you back your car out of the garage. That's profound. I know cost of auto repairs has gone up, so take that times 8, right? So has
Yep.
replacing a car. Delivery of groceries may be the way to go. Good advice.
Yeah, that's great. Another thing is you can see about um, oh, what's the word I'm looking for? Like Amazon is what I use. I know there's other things out there. I'm not specifically saying to go with them or anything like that, but they have where you can plan for every couple weeks or every month to have the same thing sent to you. And then I do pay for the Amazon Prime. Um, and so with that, there's no extra cost to do that. Okay. Kelly, do you want to read the next one?
Sure. And for those of you who get the Journey newsletter, there is an article in the January uh, Journey e-news that talks about that very thing. Convenience, subscriptions. if it's worth it to you, what a game changer that has been since the pandemic. The next one is much of the cooking at our home has shifted from my wife to me. This is a first for me, so I'm not very skilled at it. So I primarily rely on foods that I only need to heat. Generally, what is the nutritional value of prepared foods? Are there concerns?
That's a good question. I can't speak too in depth on the nutritional value, unfortunately, because I'm not a dietitian. I would recommend looking at the package, honestly. And let me see, I think we might be talking a little bit here about reading. No, unfortunately not. So like you'll want to learn to read the labels really. Okay, someone else had answered the question. I would say stay away from the microwave. It heats at 900 degrees, so much nutrition is lost. That's good to know. I didn't know that actually. Yeah, so I would check the labels before you buy things. Things to look out for, I know, can be like sauces, added sugars, that kind of thing. Um, Added sodium as well. So like I drink diet soda a lot, but it's high in sodium. So I want to make sure the other foods I'm eating don't have a lot of sodium. So those are things to think about and to take a look at based on what you need and any medical concerns you might have. Like maybe you need to cut out sodium. Um, so something to look at for yourself. I hope that kind of answers the question.
Excuse me, Molly, if I
Mm,
may,
yeah.
something that Russ may consider would be to visit with a store dietitian and come up with options that way for convenience where you're not sacrificing nutrition. And also, our very own Brittany Planos has commented in the chat for Jody, and her question about delivery is that she has Walmart Plus. It's $12.95 per month for the membership and includes free delivery for orders over $35. She uses it to get groceries to get groceries delivered on bad weather days and for heavy things like water softener, salt, and cat litter. So it sounds like these ladies on our financial literacy team have this all figured out.
We know some tips and tricks here and there for sure.
You sure do.
Okay, so I'm going to move forward, but if there are any additional questions, please feel free to share those in the chat and we'll follow up on those in a little bit. So we're going to talk about understanding the price tag. So it took me quite a while to really fully grasp this idea, but we're going to go over kind of the basics here. So with each price tag, you're going to see the retail price. So that's on the right. You see retail price for this top one, the low-fat yogurt is $1.62. So that's the price for one of those containers. And then you have unit price, which is in the colored box. It's like a pinkish color on the left side. And that tells you what the cost for the item is for its size or for the unit. So if you see the this top one has it's 5 cents per unit for that 32-ounce container being 162 for the whole 32-ounce container, it's only 5 cents per unit. But if you were to get a 6-ounce container of this other one, it's only 72 cents, but per unit, it's going to be 12 cents. So that's going to cost you more per unit. So something to think about is, if you're going to be using that whole container of the 32-ounce, it's going to be a much better deal for you to get that 32-ounce container because it costs you less per unit. However, something to consider is, am I going to use the whole thing? Because if I'm only going to use 5 ounces of it, it probably isn't worth me spending that extra money to get the larger one. So that's something to think about. But this unit price is really helpful when you're comparing two different items to see what is best. Usually larger containers will have a better unit price, but that's not always the case. And then also brand name is something to consider as well. So how this is calculated is it takes that total price on the right, that retail price, and then divides it by the size. So for the top one, it's 32 ounces. So it's $1.62 divided by 32 ounces equals 5 cents per unit. And then the example here is looking at the bottom one and how they got the 12 cents per ounce. Please let me know if you have any questions on that. But really the main thing to know is that if you're wondering what's a better deal, check that colored box, that pinkish colored box, and whichever one has a smaller unit price is going to be the better deal for you. Okay, so then we're going to look at a recipe that's low cost, healthy, and convenient. So for this, we decided to go with American goulash. This recipe is from Budget Bites. I found Budget Bites is really helpful to get different recipes that you can search for what you're looking for. So if I'm looking for something quick and easy, I can look for that. If I want it to be under $20, I think there's a tab for that. So there's a lot of different things you can search for to get different things. And we're going to send out, I believe, the recipe for this, but I have on the screen what all the ingredients are. So something to note is the total cost for this being $28.95. That is if you have to buy all of the ingredients, you don't have any at home. However, so like if you notice like the seasonings per unit, so how much you need for that actual recipe is very little compared to what the cost is. So, if you already have these seasonings at home, then you don't have to worry about buying them new. So it's only like 2 cents or 5 cents each, depending on which ones they are. Same with, I believe it's olive oil. We have the recipe that we'll get to you if you're interested in making this. But the olive oil costs it was a store in Omaha because I'm located in Omaha that I used for this. It costs $5.94 for the whole container, but the amount you use is only 22 cents. So if you already have that oil at home, it's really only like 22 cents for it. So that's something to think about. So per unit, if you utilize all these ingredients in other things as well, it's under $14 for this whole meal. And I believe this feeds 4. So, if it's for 1 or 2 people, you'll have leftovers that you can freeze or you can have for lunch the next day and that kind of thing. Or you can cut it in half. And Budget Bites, I believe you can even click to say how many servings you want to make, and it'll cut down the ingredients for you. So you don't have to do the math or anything. And then I wanted to include a few ingredient alternatives. So for these on this page, this is looking at what you have on hand. So if a recipe calls for something that you don't have, you might have these alternatives on hand. So you don't have to go out to the store just to buy new ingredients or just to buy that one thing or anything like that. So this shows you, so like if you don't have baking soda, but you have baking powder, you can substitute 3 teaspoons of baking powder for the 1 teaspoon of baking soda. So there's a number of them here that you can look at. You can also, if you're not sure if you can use something else, Google's a good friend. If you use Google, that you can look up and say, hey, I don't have milk, what can I use? And you can see if there's other alternatives available for you. Something to note with this screen is the alternatives aren't necessarily cheaper to buy. It's just if you already have them, it wouldn't cost you to go get new things. And then on this page, it shows you some things that might be beneficial for you to buy instead. So like butter, for me, butter for baking, I like to get it on sale and then I freeze it because with baking, once it thaws out, it's just as good. And it comes in packs of the 4 sticks. And when I make a big batch of cookies, I need all 4 sticks. So I just take out the whole package the night before I plan to go bake a batch of cookies. Um, or you can open the box in the freezer and just take one stick out for you to use, that kind of thing. But there's other ideas here for other things you can use. So like oil lasts a lot longer than butter does if it's just sitting out or in the fridge. So that's something to think about if you wanted to use that instead. And then like chicken broth, I like to use the bouillon cubes, I think is how you say it, or powder instead of the actual chicken broth, because a lot of times when I'm making something, I'm not going to end up using that whole container of chicken broth. So a lot of it's going to go to waste. So it costs less for me to get the cubes or the powder, and I waste less. So yeah, those are some ideas for you. Let's see. Okay, that's all I have for you. Do we have any more questions in the chat?
I am so sorry. I was
It's
busy
okay.
watching that chat. We've had some great conversation around other store memberships, and also Rogine has shared some cooking hacks with her new friend Russ, steaming veggies in a self-contained steamer. Or I have great luck with my metal steamer basket in a saucepan. So we've just had some great conversation. I do think, Molly, that you have done such a great job answering all of these questions. I had a couple questions come to me directly
Sure.
about healthier options for that goulash. And a couple things that came to mind to me were using whole grain pasta, if you'd like, or ground turkey or lean ground turkey, things like that. And the same with I love that you use bouillon. Somebody asked me about the sodium level. You can buy low sodium bouillon cubes or broth. So, I think, and I know that Molly would tell you this because she teaches units on this, is absolutely make those recipes your own and work within your own nutritional parameters.
Absolutely. Yep.
And another question that we had was if we have more resources on this, and I happen to know that we do. You ladies have written a fantastic blog on the topic, and we can, when I send the meal planner and the recipes out, we can link to that blog as well if you'd like, Molly. I'll leave that up to you.
That would be great. Please do.
Yeah, well, you have just done a fantastic job, and I can't thank you enough for being here today. Again, Molly she offices out of Omaha, and she's been working lots of magic with the Omaha nonprofits. They're so glad to have her. And Brittany Planos is on today. Brittany has actually presented for us before, and she's the financial literacy program manager. I know that she's just thrilled to have Molly. I'm getting all kinds of thank you, Molly and Kelly. Thank you, Molly. Great info. Thanks again to our financial literacy team. Molly, thank you. You've just been a little slice of heaven. And thanks to all of you, our journey friends, for joining us, giving up a piece of your Tuesday afternoon Be sure and catch us next week. We have Tune Up Your Strength and Stability, workouts and tips to prevent slips and trips. I don't know what I was thinking when I came up with that title because I can barely say it. Thanks again. Be well, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Take
Thanks,
care.
everyone.
Bye-bye.